Hello my dear students. In this video lesson, we are having a discussion on the preamble to the Constitution of India, the second chapter in the text Zeitgeist. The term preamble means introduction or preface. So it is the introduction of the Indian Constitution, the largest written constitution of the world. It was on 26th January 1950 that India adopted a new constitution and became a sovereign socialist democratic republic. For the formulation of the constitution of a state, a constituent assembly is necessary. So in 1946, as per the recommendation of the Cabinet Mission Plan, the Constituent Assembly for drafting the Constitution of India was constituted under the chairmanship of Dr. Rajendra Prasad. Under the Constituent Assembly, a Constitution Drafting Committee was formed and it was chaired by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. So you have to remember the difference between these two. The chairman of the Constituent Assembly was Dr. Rajendra Prasad and the chairman of the drafting committee, Constitution Drafting Committee, was Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. And there were 7 members in this Constitution Drafting Committee. The final draft of the Constitution was presented before the Constituent Assembly on 3rd November 1947. So the Constituent Assembly was formed in 1946 and the final draft of the Constitution was presented before the Constituent Assembly by the Drafting Committee on 3rd November 1947. When it was presented before the Constituent Assembly on 3rd November 1947, it had 395 articles in it. And these 395 articles were in 22 parts and 8 schedules. It came into force on 26th January 1950 all over India except Jammu and Kashmir. The Constitution of India granted special status to Jammu and Kashmir among other Indian states. And it was the only state in India to have a separate constitution. You must have heard about Article 370. Article 370 of the Constitution of India stated that Parliament of India and the Union Government jurisdiction extends over limited matters with respect to the state of Jammu and Kashmir. And in all other matters not specifically vested in federal government, actions have to be supported by the state legislature, means the legislature of Jammu and Kashmir. Also, unlike the other states, residual powers were vested with the state government, not with the central government. Because of these constitutional provisions, the state of Jammu and Kashmir enjoyed a special but temporary autonomous status as mentioned in Part 21 of the Constitution of India. On 5th August 2019, the special powers vested with the state government of Jammu and Kashmir based on the Article 370 was cancelled by the central government. And now the Constitution of India is applicable to Jammu and Kashmir also, like all other states in India. Indian Army Jammu Kashmiril ഇറങ്ങി ജമ്മു കാശ്മീരിനെ ഇന്ത്യയുടെ ഭാഗമാക്കി മാറ്റിയ സമയത്ത് ജവഹർലാൽ നെഹ്റു അവർക്ക് കൊടുത്തിട്ടുണ്ടായിരുന്ന ഉറപ്പിൻ്റെ പുറത്താണ് ജമ്മു കാശ്മീരിന് ഇങ്ങനെ ഒരു സ്പെഷ്യൽ പവർ ഇന്ത്യൻ കോൺസ്റ്റിറ്റ്യൂഷൻ നൽകിയിട്ടുണ്ടായിരുന്നത്. ആ ഒരു സ്പെഷ്യൽ പവറിനെയാണ് ആർട്ടിക്കിൾ 370 ക്യാൻസൽ ചെയ്യുന്നതോടുകൂടെ എടുത്തു കളഞ്ഞത്. അത് എടുത്തു കളഞ്ഞത് 5th August 2019 by the central government. The makers of Indian Constitution, keeping in mind the needs and conditions of India, had borrowed widely from different constitutions of the world, which resulted in the undue criticism that Indian Constitution was a bag of borrowings. As I have already mentioned, Indian Constitution is the largest written constitution in the world. And you all know that India is a land of diversity. India doesn't have a single national culture. India doesn't have a single national language. India doesn't have a single national religion. or a political identity or anything like that. India is a land of diversity. So the drafting of the constitution of such a land of varieties or multiplicities or pluralities is a difficult task. So they took lots of time to draft the Constitution of India and borrowed from many constitutions. A nation like India demands such a constitution because our nation is a land of diversities. So we have to include all these diversities into our identity, the national identity. In its current form, it has a preamble, 25 parts with 448 articles, 12 schedules, 5 appendices, and 101 amendments. It is the most comprehensive and the longest written constitution of the world. As I have already mentioned, the term preamble means introduction or preface. The tradition of preamble began with the American Constitution. Preamble refers to the very essence of the Constitution. Preamble to the Constitution of India is thus rightly described as the identity card of the Constitution. The preamble of the Indian Constitution is very short in length, but it comprises the spirit of Indian Constitution. It is really a compressed form of the Constitution, which includes all the vital forces of the Constitution. The preamble assimilates the fundamental values of political, moral, and religious on which the Constitution is built. It manifests the gracious vision, dreams, and aspirations of the founding fathers of the Constitution. K.M. Munshi, he was a member of the drafting committee, stated that the preamble is the horoscope of our sovereign democratic republic. Another member of the drafting committee, Pandit Thakurdas, rightly remarked that the preamble is the soul of the Constitution. So there are varieties of ways through which the preamble to the Constitution of India is being described. It is called as the identity card of the Constitution. It is called as the soul of the Constitution. And it is called as the horoscope of our sovereign democratic republic. According to Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, preamble is a way of life which recognizes liberty, equality, fraternity as the principles of life and which cannot be divorced from each other. If you take away liberty, then there won't be any equality or fraternity in the state. If you take away equality, then there won't be no liberty or fraternity in the state. So all these three values are intermingled. They can't be divorced from each other. That is the opinion of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. The preamble was amended by the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act done in 1976, which added 3 words to the preamble: socialist, secular, and integrity. And these 3 words were not there in the preamble before 1976, and it was added to the preamble by the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act. The preamble reveals that the Constitution derives its authority from the people of India and sets the objectives of the Constitution as justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity. So it is the preamble which sets the objectives of the Constitution. And the objectives of the Constitution are justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity. Now let's read the preamble of the Constitution first. After that we can discuss each and every terms mentioned in preamble. We, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic, and to secure to all its citizens justice, social, economic, and political, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship, equality of status and opportunity, and to promote among them all fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity and integrity of the nation. In our Constituent Assembly, this 26th day of November 1949, do hereby adopt, enact, and give to ourselves this Constitution. So that is the preamble. It is very short in length, but it is a condensed form of the Constitution itself. Now let's discuss the terms and concepts included in the preamble. The significance of the preamble lies in its components. So the terms sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic, republic, that we have to discuss first. That actually suggests the nature of Indian states. The word sovereign means India is an independent nation. She is no more under the control of any other external forces or nations, and the legislature of India has the power to enact laws in the country. The term socialist was added to the preamble by the 42nd Constitutional Amendment in 1976 that we have already discussed. Socialism means the achievement of socialist ends through democratic ways. So what you should know is that the socialism mentioned in Indian Constitution is democratic, not communist. Now the term secular. The term secular means that all religions in India have equal respect, protection, and support from the state. The state should not treat any citizen of India with any kinds of impartiality based on his religion. That's why the new Citizenship Amendment Act of the central government, in which the religion of an Indian citizen is considered for deciding or defining the validity of his citizenship, is a terrible blow to the democratic and secular values of Indian Constitution. That's why we say that the new CAA or Citizenship Amendment Act is anti-constitutional. One more thing you should know is that the term secular in India means acceptance of all religious faith, whereas outside India it means atheism or the absence of religion. For example, you have studied the essay Chemical Happiness and the Meaning of Life written by Yuval Noah Harari, and Yuval Noah Harari is a secular person, means he believes in no religions. He doesn't have any religious faith. But in India, secularism means acceptance of all religions with tolerance. The term democratic means that supreme power lies in the people, and the Constitution derives its authority from the people. The Constitution established a form of government which is by the people, for the people, and of the people. There are different types of democratic forms in the world. Indian democracy is parliamentary in form. Now the term republic. In a republic state, the head of the state is elected either directly or indirectly by the people. The term justice in the preamble embraces three forms, that is social justice, economic justice, and political justice, through provisions of fundamental and directive principles of state policy. And these three forms of justice are attained through provisions of fundamental and directive principles of state policy. Directive principles of state policy aim to create social and economic conditions under which the citizens can lead a good life. These directive principles of state policy aim to establish social and economic democracy through a welfare state. All executive agencies of the union government and state governments should be guided by these principles. That means the directive principles of the state policy. Now the term liberty. The word liberty means the liberty of expression, thought, faith, belief, and worship. It also provides freedom from slavery, discrimination, and despotism. If the government is doing something wrong, you have the right to criticize the government. You have the right to have your own individual thoughts and also have the right to express your opinions and arguments. The government has no rights to interfere with the freedom of expression of the citizens. They have no right to impose oppressive despotic laws on people which prevents them from criticizing the misrule of the government. And while talking about the liberty of faith, belief and worship, the government should provide all citizens the freedom to follow their own beliefs, religious faith and their own modes of worship. Not a single person in India should be treated wrongly by the government or anyone for following a particular faith or religious belief. Nobody should be harassed. Nobody should be beaten or killed or denied justice because he is the follower of a particular faith or belief. The Constitution of India ensures the above mentioned liberty to all of us. It is the responsibility of the union and state governments to make sure that the people of India are enjoying such a noble form of liberty. Now, the term equality. The word equality provides equal status and opportunities to all citizens and people of the country. We are all equal before the law. Nobody can deny the justice to anybody based on his social status, economic condition, religious faith, political affiliation, caste, gender, or race. We are all equals. Our Constitution ensures that to us. Now, the term fraternity. Fraternity means a feeling of brotherhood. The Preamble promotes fraternity for maintaining the unity and integrity of the nation. We all know that India is a land of diversity. Everything about India is plural. We have varieties of religions, varieties of languages, cultures, customs, traditions, political beliefs, racial and ethnic identities, art forms, etc. Regardless of all these differences, there is something that binds us together. That is the feeling of Indianness, the feeling of brotherhood, which forms the so-called unity in diversity in India. The Preamble also bears the date 26th November 1949, on which the Constitution was adopted. On 26th January 1950, the Constitution of India came into effect, on which Republic Day is celebrated. The Preamble urges the people to assure the dignity of the individual and the unity and the integrity of the nation. Thus, the Preamble to the Constitution of Independent India beautifully reflects the vision of the founding fathers of the Constitution about India. That's the end of this session. Jai Hind.